It's your girl, Cheryl the Pearl, back with another video. Actually, back with a re record of the Housewives of Potomac. I did upload a video, but the audio and my voice was going off fast, and it just was defected or something of that sort. So I thought I'd do a little quick one of a recap that sounds much clearer. Again, my name is Cheryl Pearl. Everything I say is alleged and strictly my opinion. So let's get started. So this is episode 10 of season 10, and the name of this episode is Blunt Truth. So the episode starts off with Gizelle going to the Mercedes Benz AMG dealership, and she's interested in an electric G Wagon. Looks like she already has a G Wagon, but I guess she want to upgrade for the environment, is what she kind of said. And let me just tell you this. I looked up the prices of an electric G Wagon. They start at 200,000. Yeah, like almost a quarter of a million. And that's probably for the basic model. So the one that she test drives, I don't know if it was you know, a more updated model, but they starting at 200. And I'm like, girl, um, yeah, them 10 million download must be paying real swell, cause that's a jump. So anyway, she lets the sales guy know that she's waiting on her friend, and in walks Wendy in this curly red wig and this zebra outfit. Um, they begin talking about Stacey, and basically Wendy feels like the girls are being hard on Stacey. And Gizelle said, she lied too much. I'm just sick of her lies. And ironically, Wendy says that her lease is up on her vehicle and she's thinking about going electric. And Giselle's like, G Wagon? She's like, yeah, but I'll tell you before I get it. And I won't get the same color. I ain't gonna be Stacey. See, you see how she first had her girls back, but then she took it on right back? That's why I'm fool with Wendy. Wendy wants to be in the it crowd with Giselle. Giselle, I don't know if it's true, but Giselle just seems like she was popular growing up. She's a pretty, fair skinned girl, and I'm brown too, but Wendy, it just feels like you weren't, you know. But I still have a lot of confidence. But anyway, and you really want Giselle's approval. And when you said that you looking for an electric G Wagon, girl, allegedly, please don't let the prosecutor be watching, because girl, the math ain't math, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. So anyway, they go on a test drive with salesperson in tow. He like, girl, I don't give a damn what show you on. You ain't about to be driving up this $200,000 car without me. And I ain't about to lose my job at the dealership over this bull. But anywho, so he in the back seat while when he's in the passenger seat, and of course Giselle is driving. So the conversation then turns to Monique, and she basically asks Wendy, how does she feel about Monique coming back to the group? And Stacey, I'm sorry, and Wendy, she ain't got no problem with it. She said, well, she coming with light and positivity, so I'm cool with it. Giselle also lets her know, I wish Karen was out and then the gang's all here, but girl, we missing Robin, we missing Candace, we missing Katie. Girl, the gang ain't all there. And the original people ain't there, and Monique is not a part of the original. So basically, Giselle says she needs to know what type of Monique she getting. Monique from 5 years ago when the Nuck and Buck started, or with Candace, or is she really changed? So they need to do a one-on-one. So that's pretty much it for that scene. So the next scene is Stacey and her little minion AJ. They had some little diner. I noticed it wasn't no food or nothing ordered or in front of them. But they talk about her upcoming launch for her edibles. And she tells him that she's excited. She's invited all of the girls. And let me stop you right there. I know you ain't invite Kiana. I know you didn't. Because every time y'all two see each other, it look like it's about to go all the way left. And the last meetup, you ain't even want her part of the conversation. So if you invited her, you're fake. You're fake, girl. You're fake. You know. But anywho, um, she basically tells him that Ashley is going around trying to keep up mess between her and Monique, saying that she taking stuff that Monique tells to the group back to Chris. She a liar and all this. And his attitude toward it is basically like, girl, you gonna have to get Detroit with them. You know, you ain't scared. And I'ma just stop him right there. So, whenever you guys on all the reality shows, Detroit, don't get Detroit or whatever, you guys are referring to Detroit in a negative way. Okay. And Detroit is a shit. Let me just tell you, come to our downtown is very comparable to Chicago's downtown. Our suburbs, multi-million dollar houses. Detroit, every city got a ghetto. And Detroit is not a ghetto. Okay? Everybody got ghetto parts. So whenever you say don't get Detroit, baby, make sure you come correct because, baby, we trendsetters that fucking shape the nation. So get that whenever you tell her to go Detroit. And where you from, homeboy? San Francisco? Okay. So anyway, um, that pretty much was it to that saying. You know, I just had to stand up for my city on that. So the next scene is Ashley and Josh. They at an arcade. Mm. Yes, they are. And how old is Ashley? 36, 37. But anyway, brings me to my next point. So basically, Ashley is trying to break up with him. If they was even a couple or whatever, break it off. You ain't getting no more of this or whatever. Basically, no romance without finance. Ask your mama about the song or your grandmama. It's from my old school heads. But anyway, she's basically saying that she's had her 2 kids. She's been married. She ain't looking for no more kids. She ain't looking for marriage. You got your whole life ahead of you. Run, Forrest, run. But he's not reading the room. It's like going over his head. So she, in her confessional, she's like, basically, I had a man fly me out on a private jet to Vegas, his private jet. I had another man rent out a whole restaurant. And Michael Darby had some M's behind his name. So, long story short, baby, you can't afford them draws. And he even said something to the effect like, you don't know about my finances. She like, we never even been on a trip. Didn't I invite you to Pittsburgh to see my family? She's like, I'm talking international. She talking international, flew out, laying on an island with drinking margaritas. And I feel like this, but he looks younger than Ashley, and I believe he is. I feel like this. Her her situation wasn't complete. You came in the midst of her situation being completed. So if you could have, you shouldn't have got emotions involved. You know what I'm saying? Because she could have went back to her husband. They could have resolved, well, you know what, let's work it out for the kids. She got kids under 10 years old. So let this be a life learning lesson for you. Wait till a person's stuff is all the way closed out. But what Ashley seemed like she looking for allegedly is a trick. And if you ain't that, baby, just go on. It shouldn't even hurt too bad. But maybe he just wants some more of that good. But yeah, it's a wrap. And go ahead on with your life, youngin'. I wouldn't be around trying to be a trick to nobody. Girl, bye. And Ashley's whole point about it is that she grew up and her mother, didn't have the best financial decisions. She struggled and probably still struggling, working 13, 14 hours, who knows? And she's with an alcoholic. Oh, that's later on. Let me keep going. So the next thing we get to is Gizelle and Monique meeting up. And they meet up. Gizelle comes in a royal blue dress. And royal blue is really her color. I remember she wore it to one of the reunions. So if this ever finds you, Gizelle, you look good in royal blue. One shoulder off, whatever. So Monique comes in, stepping in the red bottoms, leopard with the Christian Dior. One thing Monique gonna do is wear some labels. But she been wearing labels, been carrying big Birkins. It ain't nothing new to her. So basically, they get into it about where they went wrong. And Gizelle kind of makes a little joke. Should I start with drag me, Monique? And she's basically like, no, because I've healed from that. I've grown from that. You know what I'm saying? And that situation pretty much started her healing journey. And that's yet to be determined. If it is, then cool. Cause she do seem a lot more zen. If you're in a bad marriage and you out here trying to fake it to the world and hold on to these little material possessions, you got kids or whatever, and it's confusion. I get it. But Gizelle, honey, you're not the one to speak to that, baby, because how was your attitude or your temperament when Holy Whore was running through the church? Allegedly. She a woman like anybody else. They get hurt, they pop off. Somebody, Candace got a mouth. She got a mouth that even you can't take. So, and I ain't condoning violence, but it's just like, girl, it's like time out for all that talking. I'm about to get you. But long story short, they both take some accountability. They both promise to, if they have a problem with each other, talk it out. If they're going to drag each other, they're going to drag each other to their face. And that's going to be it. So, I think it went well. It ended with a hug. And, yeah, I think she a great addition to the show. I really do. You know, and hopefully we'll see more Monique, or I wouldn't even mind if she came back as a main person, so whatever. Hope it works out. So the next scene, the next scene is Greg, and he with Kiana. He sure live looking at 5 and 6 carat rings. Upward to 1,000,000, 125, 180. And Angel comes, she in a little tangerine jumpsuit or whatever. They drinking champagne. Now we know that this was obviously staged because ain't nobody in the store with them. It's only one salesperson I see, and the store look big as hell. So yeah, he ain't buy nothing, and he said he gonna come back with and talk to the lady on himself. I call Cat. Boy, if you gotta take your ass to Zales or Hillsburg and put it in layaway, that's what you better do. You trying to pay, and you gonna buy the condo too? I'm confused. I really am. I am confusion. And if your marriage is based on how much the ring is or whatever, baby, it's already starting off wrong. And the fact that you was married before, it don't even seem like you want to get married. All this hooping and hollering about Stacey, you ain't married either, and your ring is cloudy and this and that. First of all, you gotta be wife material, and wife material is more than throwing some white pillows all over your white couch for the cameraman. So I don't know. I don't know. I just think I call a cat, and I think the scene was unneeded. It really was. It did more damage than it did positivity. Okay. So the next scene we get Ashley and her sister, Jessica, I believe her name was. And she's on her way to college, and basically in a nutshell they talk about the contention with at home with her mother and father's really her father, because he's an alcoholic and he don't work and whatever. I don't know, it just don't sound like he's really a good dude, and she probably don't want to come home on the holidays from college and everything. And Ashley, she sympathizes with her. I think this guy, if this is the same guy, been talked about for several seasons, because in the beginning of Real Housewives of Potomac, Michael was paying Ashley bills as well as her mother and somebody else's, and I'm assuming it's this guy. So I don't know. Ashley must got that. If you throw it up in the air, it turn into sunshine, cause ain't no way in hell. But whatever. So basically, she becomes emotional, and she said nobody's gonna change after 40, 50 years being a certain way. And yes, they are not. Let me raise my hand. Can the church say amen? And let me be a witness. No, they are not. Don't ask me how I know, but I know, baby, from experience. So I look at it like this. Sometimes when you see stuff done the wrong way as an adult, because we all got trauma for childhood, well, most of us, but as an adult, you'll know how to go about it the right way and go a different way than the wrong way you always seen it done. And that could be the silver lining in that. So prayers up for Ashley's family, her sister, because she too young to carry that burden, and she looked just like the mama. But anywho, going on to uh the next topic or the next scene. So we got Eddie and Wendy. Oh, Lord, give me strength, Lord, give me strength. So Eddie is having a pop up for his dispensary, and yeah. So the meat and potatoes of this scene, basically, he has a strand that he calls Nutty Professor, named after Wendy. Should have been called Fraudulent Professor. I'm sorry, allegedly. But anyway, Wendy buys some of the items and she gets out to the checkout counter. I think it was like $76, and she can't remember the PIN number on the debit card or the credit card or whatever it was. And he looking crazy, and all I can say is I hope the prosecutors wasn't watching this episode, because the people had said that you got 40 cars between y'all. But that's just what I heard. It's in the street, girl. Don't get mad at me. My opinion and the ledge. Going on. So I just thought that was very telling, because I've been like, can y'all take that part out? It's incriminating to me. So anyway, we get to the last scene, and this is Stacey's pop up or grand opening for her Shio infused gummies, with cannabis. So she show up all legs and boots in the blue jean dress. She look cute. Stacey pretty girl, very model-esque, just like Monique. So if she was messing with Chris or thinking about it, or he was thinking about it, it's definitely his type if you base it off Monique. But anywho, she arrives with her minion AJ, and the next person to arrive is Jazzy. And, I guess Jazzy is a friend of the show, but she comes in a jean dress too. The next person to arrive is Tia, and Tia comes in like a little sheer. I don't know if that was a bodysuit or whatever suit. It was kind of cute. But she comes in and asks, "Where is Timo?" See, Timo is a sore subject with her. I don't even think she wants him discussed on the show. I don't even know why he showed his face, okay? But I guess if she ain't paying TJ no more, she got to pay somebody, so his face came out to show, allegedly. But anywho, so the next person to arrive is Ashley, and they have a little back and forth banter about her lying. Stop lying. Stop being evil. Stop it. They talking at the same time and they pointing at each other, but she didn't really have too much smoke for Ashley. Ashley was like, she likes to support the girls, but she tired of the lies. And to Stacey's point, she's like, Monique doesn't have a problem with the Chris situation. Wendy and Eddie don't have a problem with the Shio thing. So why do you? And valid point, because it's a reality show and we gotta drum up some drama. Okay. So basically, the last scene is her and Tia having a discussion, which I think you should never have a one-on-one discussion in front of people, because some people egos get out of control. And they are trying to talk about the issue where the husbands and the wives went to dinner, and of course Stacey and Timo wasn't there. So to Stacey's point, she's basically like, it wasn't up to you to tell Wendy, that about me not coming to dinner or Timo being around or whatever. And she also lets it be known the issue is that Timo got a problem with Wendy and Eddie from the reunion. Whenever they were all yelling, bring Eddie out, because they bought the story about AJ being paid. And I just thought that was the craziest shit, because you could have lived with that in the first episode and just told Wendy, girl, he feeling away. He don't really want to meet y'all. But a lie is a lie. And don't know, one thing about a lie, it don't give a damn who tell it. And I'm just like, girl, that is the craziest shit I ever heard. But they go back and forth, and they speaking over each other. In the midst of it, Tia tells her to shut up. And that's like the straw that broke the camel's back. Gizelle been getting nasty with you, Kiana or whatever. She's like, get out of my event, get out. Toodles, toodle doo. I see Toodles. The only person I heard on the franchise say that was Portia on Atlanta. It's nice you watched all the franchise to prepare for your acting debut, allegedly. She talks about how Tia dressed. She'll try hard like her ashes. Now, Stacey, I'm gonna have to stop you there, boo. Because them QVC dresses with the satin and cloth purses to match ain't hitting on much either. But Tia gets up and was like, I had better things I could do. I think that's the rudest thing you can ever do is invite somebody somewhere and put them out, especially as grown women. But like I said, the conversation shouldn't have never happened there because you don't let the event be what it is, the event. Let the conversations and the sidebars be on the side. Okay? But all in all, it was a pretty good episode, but I need Tia to get Stacey back whenever she get her on her own turf because that was just rude. And Stacey, you do be lying. You might have fan favorite girl, but you're a liar. You are pandering to the audience with your lies. And all you have to do is say, girl, y'all blew up my spot. So, whatever. But all in all, it was a good episode. Ready to see where it goes. It looked like it's about to get crunk with Angel, with Monique, and a whole bunch of other stuff from the preview, and I'm here for it. So, like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video, and yeah, I'll be back next week. And again, this was a re-record because my audio was messed up with the first one. So, hope you like. Bye.